Dark clouds continue to roll over us in RG2 as Director of Football Mark Bowen has been charged with betting offences, 95 to be exact. We are still waiting for positive news regarding the takeover, but the situation at present appears to be locked very firmly at stalemate, with the club issuing a statement earlier today. Welcome to the Tilehurst End podcast, episode 381. I am your host, Ben Thomas, and I'm joined, as always, by my good friend, Mr. Ross Webber. Ross,
hello.
When is this going to end?
I don't think it doesn't ever end, does it? Everyone who enjoys that particular clip of Mick McCarthy, sort of going, can't get worse, can it, Mick? It can. Yeah, we're solidly in that. I just don't know. But I enjoyed that you said the storm clouds are rolling in, because a lightning storm has literally just passed by our house here in Maine as well. So apt.
It's almost like I knew. I mean, it begs the question, why are we still doing these over the summer? But we are, because we feel it's important to keep in touch. And whilst there isn't a huge amount of any good news really at all, we've got stuff to talk about. You guys have sent in stuff for us to chat about, so we'll do that, and we'll talk about the facts. We can't give too much of the opinion in this one, because it's a very delicate situation across the club. But we've got half an hour, 40 minutes, so we'll get something out. Put it that way. Thank you for joining us on this journey, as always. Thank you to ZTZ Films, who continue to support us in these very dark times. We are grateful for your support, as always. And we're grateful to you for listening. So we're going to get into episode 381 after this short break.
Keep up to date with all things Reading FC. Follow the Tilehurst End on Facebook and Twitter.
This podcast is proudly sponsored by ZCZ Films. Remember, if you want to get involved in sponsoring the show, drop us an email to thetilehurstend@gmail.com.
Right, Ross, it's one of those where we, as always, I try and get an agenda going. We're going to record this earlier in the week, and then we couldn't match up the calendars quite as we wanted to. And then lo and behold, we have an official statement from the club, which dropped around about 3 hours ago at the time of recording, which kind of said stuff without saying stuff, really. I won't read it all, because unless you've been living under a rock, you will have seen that. I guess really the key point, Ross, is that Mr. Dye remains committed to the complete sale of Reading Football Club and its associated assets. Where are we at? What is happening? What is your take on this particular situation? Yeah. Should we say your personal take? How about that? Let's cover all bases here safely.
Yeah, so I think at this stage, obviously, it was almost perfect comedy timing for Reading, that right as, so we were told, right, the end of May was when the takeover exclusivity period would be ending, and that's right about when, if the takeover was going to move forward, you could expect it to be kind of completed. And peak comedy Reading, that instead what happened on May 31st was Mark Bowen being charged with the whole series of betting breaches, which I think we'll come on to. But yeah, obviously it puts us into a bit more of a unknown situation again. And while the club statement is like positive in that it says there are other bidders interested, and I do think that there were some Reading fans that weren't super thrilled with the rumored party. The issue is the delay, right? And like how much longer it's going to take for things to get done, and whether that affects which players re-sign for next season, and whether Sellers sticks around for next season, and all that kind of stuff. Because he has said in an interview at the end of the season, if it's the same with the ownership group, if we're still dealing with ownership problems, then he didn't feel that personally that he could stay. He wants to stay in England, I think. And I know that I think he thinks his family are happy here, based on, I think, an interview he did in a podcast back in the winter. But, eventually he spent a season, a really troubled season with Southampton, a really troubled season with Reading, and so he probably does deserve at some point a chance to go and have a go with a project with a real, a team that hasn't got issues going on. So basically, I don't know that we're in much of a different position than we were, other than now knowing that the group that were granted exclusivity have had that period expire. I think that's not necessarily a huge issue. It's the issue more is whether this delay now leads to any personnel losses over the next few weeks, because I think we're only like a month, maybe 5 weeks out from preseason, which sounds ridiculous, obviously, because the Euro's coming down the pipe as well, and like those players certainly won't be going to their preseason clubs and things like that. But I think that the some of the youth levels and the under 23s and things, they go back in early July, so there ain't much longer for this to get done before Reading 24-25 starts, basically, and that's the concern for me.
Do you know what? You've hit the nail on the head, because that's exactly what I felt. When exclusivity lapsed, in terms of expiring or whatever, when it did in back end of May, my kind of gut instinct was, how much is our pocket going to get picked in terms of players moving to potential sideways moves in the league, potential moving up in the league, potential going to championship, for example. How long is it going to take until a club comes in with a bid, and whoever the hierarchy is at the club these days gets desperate and goes, yeah, you can go. In my opinion, if that happens, they're going to fall like dominoes, because other players will go, hold on a second, he's gone for security, I want security as well. And that doesn't just count for the playing staff. That's kind of the backroom staff. That's academy staff. That's a whole bunch of people that we're talking about that will be looking at it and going, we can't plan our departments accordingly on and off the pitch until we know what we've got coming in. I mean, look at the women's team, for example. The academy. What position are they currently in? That means that they can plan productively for their respective seasons at their levels. It's the longer this goes on, the anxiety tends to build. And you look around the leagues, and you've got Burton, who have signed a new deal this week, or got new owners in this week. I think I saw Gillingham were on the road to something along those lines. There is a whole bunch of clubs that are either completing takeovers or on the way to actioning new owners.
They've had some movement.
Yeah,
like things have happened.
And on top of that, you're looking at the free agent pool, which we would have been in anyway with a takeover. We wouldn't have been, the first dogs at the bowl with this. And I'm not saying I would have wanted him at Reading, but Ben Tozer has just ended up at Forest Green. He's left Wrexham and he's gone to Forest Green. Now, there's a player there that you could look at a number of clubs in our league and go, he could probably do a job for us, even in the background. So we're missing out on a bunch of players and a lot of opportunities to be able to get the squad sort of in shape before pre-season starts. And I'm very worried at this stage that we're going to end up in the same situation where we had last season. All we can hope is that the bulk of the team that we've got now stays. That's really the best we can hope for at this current element, and that they come back, as you said, in 4 weeks or whatever it is, and they go, right, we'll just hit the ground running and pick up where we left off. It's very, very difficult to anticipate at this stage anything other than that happening. And on top of that, of course, we have the news about Mark Bowen, which is a charge at the moment. It's not been proven either way. The facts are that he's been charged with allegedly, and that's the key word in this, placing 95 bets on football matches from 2002 to 2024 by the FA. He has until June the 7th, so what's that, Friday, to respond to these allegations.
Yep. And I think it's important to note that the FA notes that these matches were not Reading matches. Not that it's not that it will necessarily matter for them, but I just think it's worth noting for our own fans that this is reportedly not related to Reading matches.
I mean, regardless of the outcome, that is still unwanted attention, isn't it, on this football club when we
Yeah.
need it least.
Yeah, no, that's a problem for sure. And I know that there have been some, reactions to that have been, um, pretty, what's the right word here? Loud. Let's go with that. Loud reactions to that. I think that Mark Bowen is someone who's split opinion a little bit more this year than previously, but it's hard to forget that he did make some really good movements in terms of recruiting in the last off season and bringing in Brian Carey to work alongside in that sort of like recruitment role. I think I might be our director of recruitment now. I'm not sure. That has been like important for building an actual football department at Reading that are now making decent decisions, identifying players like Tyler Binden, things like that. But when you have this kind of going on at the same time, this kind of throws a shadow on one of what I would say. I'm quite pro Bowen, and I would say he's been one of the things holding Reading together on the footballing side in the last few years. So this is it's a real shame. But what I'm going to say is that I have a real issue with the way gambling is pushed in sports. I don't think that this is, it's a particularly surprising opinion or a particularly controversial opinion. But I think that, given the high profile gambling addiction stories that we've seen in the last few years with Tonali, and I'm not sure if even Tony is in that sort of category, but other players like him, it makes you wonder, really, what are we doing having all of these like gambling adverts all over shirts and stadiums and allowing bookies into stadiums? It is wild to me and to many Americans when I tell them about it that we have bookies in the concourse, but you're not allowed to take alcohol in view of the pitch. I mean,
honestly, I think
get your priorities sorted out.
You put that up last week, and I couldn't agree with it anymore because actually it's spot on. It really is. And that's twice I've agreed with you on this pod now. What's going on?
No, I know. So let me just finish that point up real quick. I have a real issue with the way in which gambling is pushed in sports. And I feel that if you're going to require teams to, basically the way in which like a lot of these leagues are set up almost requires teams to engage with, gambling sponsors and things like that. And obviously it's not been that long since Reading had Casumo as their partnership. I just think that the way in which we go about them policing these guys betting is completely wrong. And I just feel like, honestly, I feel that all gambling advertising should be pulled root and stem out of sports. I think that, going for a full ban on it is not something that I would necessarily support. And I don't necessarily know that would be the right thing to do, but I really feel like you need to have some sort of moratorium on, when these gambling adverts are allowed to go out. And it's an addictive product. Like at the end of the day, these guys are selling an addictive product. And if you're selling an addictive product in other spaces, such as tobacco and alcohol and all kinds of other things like that, there are some serious restrictions on what you can say and when you can say it and who you can say it to. And I don't understand why those things are not in place for football, personally. And the last thing I'll say on that, it's kind of opening up over here right now in the States. The sports gambling market, and it's really quite sad to see the States going in the complete opposite way right now to what I feel that England has made some progress in recent years to try and build more gambling, addiction awareness and things like this into that, into their messaging and stuff. America's just going the complete opposite direction right now. So I get it. There's huge financial forces making these things prominent, and but it just seems like an obvious red, I don't know, blind spot for me. For sure. That we allow this to happen.
I think it's bonkers as well. In the league that we play in is sponsored by a betting company, and right. I love an ACCA. I love a weekend ACCA as much as anyone, but that's where it stops for me. I'm literally the embodiment of when the fun stops, or whatever the slogan is.
Right, yeah.
But when you have something like that, where when we had Casumo, I distinctly remember buying my son his shirt for that season. It didn't have the sponsor on, and I'm thinking, anytime you've got to pull a sponsor from a child shirt, you probably need to look at,
Yeah.
at what we're putting out there, and people listen to this will probably
Yeah.
roll their eyes
Yeah.
and go, "Shut up, Ben! Like that's really cliche, and we can't all live in sort of Candyland or whatever."
No, I agree.
But actually, like it's the same with energy drinks. Obviously, you mentioned alcohol. Tennant sponsoring.
Yeah, energy drinks is a great one.
Celtic and Rangers or whatever are long gone. And
Yeah.
that's not against the rules for football players to drink. They can go out and do that. It's not advisable given their role, but they can't place a bet. That is in the rules. Anyone associated with a football club in that capacity, like Mark Bowen, you can't, you're not allowed to place bets. So it's going to be interesting to see how this pans out. And I think based on the significant amount of the alleged charges that he's had, or the charges based on the alleged bets that he's had, rather, it's difficult, but the carrot is there for those people to do it. And it's not, as you said, it's really warped in the fact that you have a main sponsor, but you're actively telling people involved in football at a professional level, well, you can't get involved in that,
Right. Yeah. Welcome to our league, sponsored by betting. But if you bet, we're going to absolutely throw the book at you. Yeah, it's
if you
ridiculous.
were sponsored by Penguin Biscuits, for example, fill your boots, mate.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like crack on. Is a season supply of them, but betting, no chance.
Exactly.
Not even a pound.
No.
So
you think about how much energy the government's going to have to go after, like vaping and stuff, another addictive substance, and then like just no energy whatsoever to go after betting. Okay, sure. They're both addictive products. And what you said about the energy drink stuff is bang on too. I didn't even think of that. Like these addictive products, like, I don't know, man. People can make their own decisions, but like if you're going to put something like that in front of them, there need to be guardrails in place, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, that there is enough money in football to not have these companies sponsoring football teams or leagues or clubs or whatever.
Yeah.
But we are just fans in the cesspit of the modern game, shall we say. So we'll see how that one pans out with Mark Bowen. We've had the statement from Reading Football Club. One of the bits of news that might have slipped through people's nets is there's a guy called Loyal Royal on X. I'm sure he's on other social media as well. And he has committed, I don't know if you saw this, Ross, but he's committed to running 5K every single day until the football club is sold. So
I mean, you're laughing because he's going to run himself into the ground.
I mean, fair play. Do you know what? I heartily applaud it. I think we've had the guy run across Africa, which was just an incredible achievement in itself. Really, we've had the whole boy who's running to promote mental health, who just seems like a lovely guy. He knows Loyal Royal.
We had our own
as well. He knows.
Yeah, here at the club.
Yeah,
club too though, Ben. Sorry, there was that lad who ran from, I can't remember his name, but he ran from Reading to Portsmouth.
Yeah.
For the Portsmouth away game. Shame about the result, but good achievement.
But this guy, I think it's fantastic. I really do. And if you are on X and you can give him a follow, it's the Loyal Royal 71. Seems like a really nice guy. Put up a few videos. Fabulous hair as well. He's got better hair than you, Ross. Really, his hair is much better than yours. Actually, he's got more hair than me as well. I'll tell you that. But
right, what does that mean? What does better hair than me mean? Hang on a minute. I need to know.
It's a spectacle of a do. It really is. It's have a look, and you'll like it as well because he wears all the retro shirts.
Okay, all right. I'll go have a look. But yeah, all right.
But anyway, look, we wanted to sort of talk about him because that's a kind of a committed thing to do in given the current climate with the football club, especially the news today. So let's hope that he's able to keep it going, bless him. But yeah, I'm sure he needs all the support he can get, and he's sticking to it as well. I know it's only sort of 3 or 4 days into it, but he's doing it. And he's getting faster, and you have to applaud that. You really do. So, check him out, really.
All right, see his hair. Hang on. I've seen his hair.
Have you seen it?
It's a pretty good bonce, to be fair.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
It's got a full Brian May going.
Yes, yeah. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. That is exactly what it is.
So, all right, fair enough.
So give him a little follow, give him a like, give him encouragement because I think he's going to need it, and hopefully. It's going to have to be drastic turnaround to get this done by the end of July. But listen, running's a positive thing. You never ever regret a run. Put it that way. The challenge is actually getting out and doing it. And once you're doing it,
getting out in the first place. Yeah, for
you
sure.
don't ever
Can't tempt
finish
me
a
to
run
run
and
unless
go.
there's a soccer ball.
Yeah, exactly. You don't ever finish a run and go, I wish I hadn't done that. So best of luck to him. Hope he continues with it. We did have a few bits from the mailbag, Ross. We're going to dive into that now after this short break. So
right.
grab yourself a drink. Grab yourself an old-fashioned chocolate biscuit, like a Rocky.
A penguin.
And a penguin.
A Rocky.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
and we'll see you in a bit.
For all the latest Reading news, analysis and opinion, visit the website at thetilehurstend.com.
Welcome back to episode 381. I forgot what it was then. But we are still on episode 381. Right. We haven't lapsed into a time warp. Ross was just trying to work out the last time he ate a Rocky bar.
I know. It's been
I had
a
one
long
the other day.
time.
I bought some from a popular family discount shop I won't mention. But they're very nice, actually.
Do you prefer them to a penguin? Or is the penguin still number one for you?
Nah, penguin's number one. Number one. Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. I missed.
I don't mind clubs. I quite like clubs. Clubs are quite good.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good one actually. Yeah, I enjoyed a brunch bar. You can't get that over. Anyway, shut up, Ross.
Are they the Cadbury ones?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Cadbury. They're just an excuse. If you put a raisin into some chocolate, you can say it's healthy. Yeah. So it's just a chocolate bar with muesli in it.
It's basically a good combo though, when you think about it.
It is, yeah. I like chocolate and raisins, but I know sometimes those aren't key. But I always liked Revels when I was young because I like every flavor in there. I don't have a problem with any of them. So yeah, they're good.
I just want to remind people listening that this is a podcast about Reading Football Club, but also we're not paid to do this. So if people thinking that we're deliberately trying to kill time with even more waffle than usual, that's not true. That's just not true. We've just gone off on a tangent, and thanks for sticking with us on that. Now we're going to get into the mailbag, which isn't bulging, but there's a few bits in there. We'll start with Bobbins, flipping Bobbins.
Okay.
He says,
"Here he is.
Is there any point anymore?"
Yes. Yes, okay. It's going to be all right.
So
don't worry.
Without turning this into an ITV debate, which you probably won't have seen, Ross, which was on last night, you're gonna tell me why there is a point. Shoot.
Oh, because we've still got. I mean, look. Earlier we were still worried. I was worrying about sellers or or whomever potentially leaving if things get delayed too long. But as of now, that hasn't happened, and we've still got. Yes, we haven't got as much time as we have, but we've still got a little bit of time. So, it's going to be all right, Bobbins. Don't worry. We've still got a likable team, and when we get this takeover done, and it's good that there are still multiple bidders around. Then we'll really have something to cheer for. And maybe if that comes during the Euro, maybe we'll get double delight. Well, you never know.
Well, do you know what? It is weird. I mean, it's an even weirder off season than it ever was, because the season finished in April, didn't it? Our season finished in April.
Yeah. Been gone for a while. Yeah, I feel like the playoffs were going on forever.
So the end of June.
Yeah,
we're 2 months. We're 2 months into it.
Yeah. Well, we've had the iconic 11, so that's been good.
That's true.
So and that'll be back soon, guys. So don't worry, we're not done yet with that.
We've got a few more done already sorted. We've got a few more in the pipeline, so that will continue through the summer, even if we just jack in the normal pod in inverted commas and go, do you know what? We'll just see you in July. Just give it up.
Right.
But, hopefully you get something out of it anyway. I think there is a point. I think I get what he's saying. I really do. And he said this 4 days ago. So God knows what he's thinking today. I really don't know. But I understand that. And it is frustrating and it is really tedious. And it is, I think someone used the word exhausting earlier. And I was like, that's actually how it is. It is exhausting. You're watching all these other clubs, as we said earlier, kind of sign players, sort out their managers. Well, that's not really applicable to us at this stage. But, takeovers and everything else. And we're just like, wicked. It's like we're kind of left in the playground on our own, watching everyone else play. So,
It's like being the last kid picked up from football practice, isn't it? You're just sitting there waiting at the field, like, oh, all right then. And then you get the text that your brother's coming to get you because your dad's forgotten.
That sounds like that happened to you, actually.
I've just seen it happen to too many kids while I've been coaching. That's why it's on my brain, on my mind, I suppose.
It's a savage experience, put it that way.
Yeah.
Tom Hill, our sweet dear Tom Hill says,
all right.
This is one for me. Who's Ben supporting in the Euros? Good question.
Yeah.
Stunner.
That is a good question. Is it based on jersey or affiliation?
Because
I know your boy will be supporting England, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's already got me for the kits. I won't mention where I brought them from.
Yeah.
But
have you got the purple one?
He's already got that. Kane number 9 on the back.
Lovely.
And then the white one is coming, but he's got surname on there.
Okay.
And I said, "How?"
Do you know what I thought when I saw it? Brief Euro detour. Do you know what I thought when I watched the warm up yesterday, where Kane scored the third goal, and when I saw him go for the celebration, I was like, "That is a man who got back from vacation yesterday." He looks. That man is so tanned, right? And I was like, I've never seen Harry Kane that color before.
He was panicking because he was wearing number 20 the other night, wasn't he? And I was like, it's only because it's a kind of a friendly, and they've gone from 1 to 11 with the starting players, so I had to kind of alleviate any fears that Harry Kane wouldn't be number 9. Who am I supporting in the US? I don't know. It is the honest answer. We'll talk a little bit about the Champions League in a minute in terms of a game and the Reading connections there. Ironically, never thought I'd say that. But, it was quite nice to watch that game and not have any stress attached to it and not have any expectations. And I think that really kind of gave me the warm-up to what these games are going to be, because they're quite nice times. They're all watchable. There's a lot of teams in there that I'm really intrigued by. And this will sound odd, but I'm really excited to see Albania on this stage. I'm really excited to see what Turkey can do with bits and bobs that they've got. Georgia. All these teams.
Georgia, that was the one I was going to say.
Just
nice
exposing
jerseys too.
Yeah, great jerseys. But why am I saying jerseys? What have you done to me? Shirt.
I've ruined you. Don't worry about that. That's just
But yeah, all these teams, I'm excited about seeing, and excited how they cope with, the challenges that are going to be faced with some very, very strong teams. I honestly, I'm not supporting anyone, Tom. I'm really not. I just am looking forward to, without sounding cheesy, the spectacle of football. I think it will be a really, really good tournament. Germany is a really, really good place to have football held. As for who wins, I don't know. What do you think, Ross? Oh, Scotland. I'm quite excited to see Scotland there. Do you know what I mean?
Scotland. All right. Well, yeah. I'm excited for the Euro. Obviously, but I'm also just nervous because when you're over here, you really get invested in England. It's a nice way to look back at your home and all these kinds of things. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm also nervous. There's a German lad playing in our adult groups right now, and he and I have had a few tete-a-tetes about who's going to win this thing. But he started trying to get me now by telling me that he thinks England are going to win it, and I'm just like, don't do that. I don't want to hear from a German person that they think England are going to win. That's the worst possible.
My outsider's opinion of England is it's now or never for them. That they have to. This is a tournament. If they don't win it this time, I think it's going to be a long way back. That's my personal opinion of that, because I think the manager will change regardless. I think he's kind of reached the end of the road with it anyway. I think he's intelligent enough to know that. But I look at the team that you've got, and I really like Harry Kane. I think Harry Kane is one of the best strikers in the world, if not the best. And I think you never really deserve it because you have to earn it. But he's up there for me in terms of, I just want him to get something. Just for his own benefit. I just want him to be able to go, I've won this. I really like Bellingham as a player. I think he's really good. There's a lot of players in that team that I think will do well. And I look at the pathway, and it's not easy. It's not easy.
It's the Euro, though, isn't it? It's never easy. That's the fun thing about the Euro. And I mean, even now when it's 24 teams,
Yeah.
it's still not easy. You're playing decent teams right away.
I mean, they should get through the group. I think they will probably end up playing potentially one of the, like the fourth or the third, one of the best third place teams in this last 16. So could be Austria potentially if it works out. Might even be Poland. I don't know from the groups that they've got there. I'm not sure, but I see them getting to the quarters at least, and then probably even the semis based on that.
Yeah, no. I think with England, it basically just it relies on how many big teams that they can actually beat in a row at a tournament. And so far, the limit to that has been like one or two, right? And they finally getting it up to one or two in the first place has been difficult. If we come up against France, I think that's going to be the most difficult game that we could possibly have. I think that England should be going. I mean, I know that they will be. England should be going out there looking to win that tournament. They've got 3, maybe 4 of the best attackers in the world right now. Harry Kane, Phil Foden, and Jude Bellingham obviously is attacking. He did actually move over to the left side of that midfield diamond that Real Madrid used in the second half of the season. But for England, I think he's going to be sort of behind Harry Kane, interacting with him. So if England continue to play, or if England's best players continue to play as they have done over the last 12 months, I think it just comes down to how well the defense stands up to whatever it's tasked with. But with touching all the wood, I think England are the best team in the world right now, and they should win any tournament that they're in. So that's a scary place to be in. But yeah, that's what I think about England. And I will obviously be supporting them.
I mean, I won't, but I wouldn't. I'm not one of those people that actively wants all the other teams around them to win. It's not rugby. We're not mental. So yeah, it's look, there's a lot to like about them. And as I said, I just think if they don't do it now, it's going to be a long road back. So that's just my opinion anyway. Guess what, Ross? Benjamin Vickers is back.
All right. Oh my goodness!
How exciting!
It's a real the usual suspects. This mailbag, isn't it?
And he says, "I've lost it." It was about left backs. Hold on, it's coming. Right.
He just
Benjamin
says,
Vickers.
"I've lost
Players
it."
released by EFL clubs, which left
goes
back?
nicely with Bobbins.
Yeah. Players released by EFL clubs. Which left backs would you offer a trial to? Ryan Bertrand, obviously.
Ryan Bertrand. Yeah. Okay. Please hold. I don't know. Hang on. I don't know if
there's not. I mean, across the board, there isn't. According to a website which I won't name, which I use for a lot of my research purposes, there aren't a lot of specific left backs going. I mean, look, if Ryan Bertrand is available and he wants to drop down to League One, 100% he gets in the team for me. I just don't see a lot of these players that will be released and are being released would come to us. I just don't see that.
I don't think anyone's going to come to us right now until there's at least some idea of what's going on with the takeover, right? Yeah. I think it's going to be hard to convince. I think it's going to be hard for like sellers to convince players right now, when I imagine that he's also waiting for the change to happen with the ownership, and then it's going to be difficult for Bowen to convince people right now, given what's just happened with him, unfortunately. Yeah, exactly. So I don't think we're in a position to pick up free agents just yet, which is a real issue.
Hypothetically,
but at least
if the squad stays as it is and the season started, let's be sensible, next Saturday, who would you start at left back now based on what we've got?
Oh my goodness, based on what we've got, I mean, Mola, Oh no, Molo's gone.
Can't have him. He's out.
So there you go. What are we doing? A braver, I think that's just about all you can really say, isn't it? Yeah, I'm looking at out of contract players in League One right now. And there really isn't a whole lot left. I would say. I mean, maybe we go look at some of the teams that just got promoted and see if we can pick up some of their left backs that aren't going to make into the championship squads. But yeah, no, it's a tricky one.
It's going to be very, very difficult, I think, as we said earlier, for us to go out and pick up players. My opinion would be that left back probably isn't as pressing as other areas. I think we need a striker.
Oh, I think it's number 2. Interesting. I think it's left mid and then left back are the 2 most important.
Okay, so let's go with left mid then. Right? Would you go after a left midfielder first and then go, we need a left back to complement him? Or would you go left back first and then go, we need a left midfielder to complement him? Does that make sense?
I think no. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that Sellers likes to have a stout defense, judging from his time at Southampton and from last season. I know that we didn't cut down the amount of goals conceded as much as we might have liked to. We're still doing that thing, Reading, whereby we don't lose by 2 goals away from home. We only lose by 4 goals or more. So, got a few kickings in there to really knock the goal difference or the goals conceded down. Yeah. But yeah, no, I think that, for me, like just getting the left mid together so that we can actually build a balanced attack is really important, and that's where I'd start. But I think that knowing who Sellers is and the type of manager he is, he's going to think that left back is the most important position, and it is pretty crucial. I mean, like having decent fullback. I mean, at times this season when we didn't really have proper fullbacks on either side, we just lacked any kind of width whatsoever. So yeah, I think it is important that we pick up a left back soon.
I mean, I realise you said that left back is number 2 position for you, but what I actually want to do is for you to explain it. Does that make sense? So, like, I didn't want you to go, "Oh, well, it's number 2." Like, I wanted you to tell me why, and you've done that incredibly well. So, thank you for that, Ross. I appreciate that.
Okay, good. Thank you. Sorry, I wasn't sure where you're going.
None of this matters. None of this matters because actually, if the takeover isn't done by a sensible time leading into the new season, we're going to be replacing players that are gone. So, we might find that actually we need, 1 or 2 central midfielders to come in. So the other question, I guess, is, out of the academy players and the under 21s that we talked about previously on the last pod who did fantastically well this season and into the kind of the playoff schedule that they did have, how many of those will be asked to step up to the first team, I guess. So, there's a lot of question marks over a lot of pieces of the puzzle at the moment,
right?
And we'll see how that pans out.
And as we noted with Carson, just quickly, even that team lost their left back in the just recently. So yeah, not sure what's going to happen in that position.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see where he ends up. Whether he walks into a League One team, more likely a League Two club potentially. I don't know. Football is strange at the moment, and with the Euros as well. If people don't get what they want higher up the pyramid, they're going to be looking lower down in terms of some of those championship players, and then they'll be replaced, and so on and so on and so on. So, I think after the Euros, the market is going to be interesting to see what clubs higher up than us can get from some of those nations, and players they might not have been aware of previously as much. So. Yeah, there's a lot of transactions to come, shall we say? We're going to kind of round off with sort of some loose Reading stuff to do with the European Club Championships that kind of closed off last week. So we're going to talk about after this short break and then go from there. So we'll see in a bit.
Send in your views to the tilehurstend@gmail.com and have your say in the mailbag.
Alrighty, real quick end to the pod, episode 381. There were two finals previous week, Olympiacos and Fiorentina, and of course Real Madrid and Borussia Dortmund. And there were some Reading links there, Ross. Let's go with the Olympiacos Fiorentina game first of all. Olympiacos obviously won. Omar Richards was an unused sub in that game. Did you
Indeed.
think that when he was back in RG2 in the COVID times that he would end up at a European Cup winning club? That's a bit of a tongue twister.
I really enjoy the way you phrased that, and I appreciate that you also mentioned the that he was an unused sub. Yeah, so that's one way you can ask that question. The other way is like, did you ever think that he could be an unused sub in the Europa Conference League final? Like, I mean, weirder things have happened. Orjan Nyland plays for Sevilla,
Yeah.
so like football's weird. But no, obviously, Richards got an injury shortly after. He left Reading for Forest, I think, and that kind of curtailed his career a bit. He's going through the Marinakis route of playing in Olympiacos, playing in Greece first. Good for him and Abby, obviously, being part of the celebrations and everything. And hey, hopefully, my hope with Omar Richards is that next year he's not an unused sub in these kinds of things. I think that both Abby and Richards could do with another year in Olympiacos before, if they are going to try him out, before they try out either of those players at Nottingham Forest proper. But it's a cool little route, I would say, for players to come through. I mean, I know it's a little bit modern football, but you get to play for Olympiacos are an awesome, huge club, like FIFA 2003 style, like when, the Champions League was still pure and you got some like good Turkish and Dutch and Portuguese teams and all these kinds of things. Like Olympiacos are a massive, massive team that means so much to a huge fan base. So I think it's cool that they're having these adventures.
Very popular across Greece as well, actually. They're probably one of the most notable clubs, I would say. Maybe AEK as well within that, but Olympiacos.
It's AEK, Olympiacos, and Panathinaikos for me are the three big teams.
The kind of the different Celtic team. Yeah, that's them, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even cooler though, Ross, was Jamie Bino Gittins, who was an unused sub in the Champions League final at Wembley for Borussia Dortmund. What a career trajectory that he has had. Started off at Caversham Trent, which, to my knowledge, is the feeder club to Caversham United, who we very much enjoy on social media, I have to say. He was with us for 5 years.
Oh, yeah, they're
with
great.
A little kind of, I think he might have been on loan, or he might have tried. There was some connection with Chelsea at that point as well. And then went off to Man City in 2018, only to then find himself at Borussia Dortmund and on the bench for them this past weekend. Incredible to think that, without, and I'm not saying we're a massive club, we are, but didn't even make a first team appearance for us, and he's ended up in that environment. So, massive congratulations to him and his family to be able to have that achievement, because that's incredible, and we wish him all the best moving forward, and we'll watch his career map for with shall we say proud eyes from afar. How about that to close the pod?
Yeah,
can you have?
And he almost did the opposite. I think so. Yeah, your eyes they could sparkle with pride. But 57 appearances for Borussia Dortmund before he's turned 20.
Incredible.
I mean, that's pretty impressive. And obviously didn't play in the Champions League final, but played, I think, in the PSG semi-final, and has contributed goals for Dortmund as well. In Reading for quite a while. Did the opposite to what Elise did, where Elise was at Chelsea for quite a while and then came to Reading to finish out his youth career. Jamie Bino Gittins did the opposite, was with Reading for quite a while and then went to Man City's academy and then to Dortmund, obviously a route well trod by Jadon Sancho, being another one. So I mean, hey, if he goes to gets to half that level, then this what a great advert for the academy.
Yeah, well, exactly. And we really hope that we have a few more of these success stories to come, because that's 3 players that we've had in European or involved with European Cup winners over the last few weeks. So we just hope we can get some more out of this academy moving forward, and everything settles down. That just about wraps it all up. Best wishes to Mr. Charlie Savage, who is in and around the Wales squad for tomorrow's game against Gibraltar, who ironically he made his debut against earlier this season.
I'm just going to say
season.
that. Yeah, that's a nice little...
So yeah, I hope he does well. Hope he gets the win for us. I'll say us in this context. Ross, have a really good rest of your week. Enjoy what you're doing.
Thank you.
We have got some more
well.
iconic 11s coming up. We've got a few in the tank already, ready to be released, and we will be recording some more over the next few weeks moving forward. But for now, thank you very much for listening. Enjoy whatever you're doing. Look forward to Football Christmas, which starts next Friday, the 14th of June, with Scotland and Germany, or Germany-Scotland, the other way around. And we will see you soon, guys. All the best. Thanks for listening. Come on, you R's.